The Operation Solicitous Project, known as OSP, is the initiative that Team 2 chose to complete for the Tech 3400 project management course at Utah Valley University. Team 2 chose to send care packages to deployed U.S. Marines by the end of the spring 2018 semester, which saw the project through the initiation, planning, execution, and closing phases. The business plan included securing a sponsor, determining the scope of the project, deciding which items to include in the care packages, selecting how to market and raise funds, and the procurement and shipping of said items. The OSP went through 10 phases of submission before the final presentation of the successfully completed project. Each submission allowed team members to receive feedback, which helped solidify a better understanding of the stages a large project goes through between conception and completion. Team 2's ability to plan, implement, and manage the sequential steps required to accomplish the specific objectives to complete the project was imperative to the project's success. Team 2 adopted a thought process which created a results-oriented management style throughout the project's life cycle. The project's desired goals were defined in the initiation phase, which allowed for careful planning and delegation of responsibilities, where each team member could hone in on their individual professional and personal strengths. This strategy provided the ability to proceed systematically towards successfully achieving these goals. Team 2 decided to solicit and raise funds and physical donations to create and ship care packages to deployed U.S. Marines to show unwavering support and appreciation for their service and sacrifice. Team 2 created an action plan, set the project scope and parameters, budgeted for labor and shipping, orchestrated social media and online fundraising initiatives, and contracted locations for physical donation boxes, all while keeping open lines of communications between the team and the project sponsor and those corporations who pledged donations for the project. Team 2 tapped into one team member's marketing strengths to create physical and online presences for donation collections, utilizing another team member's strengths in graphics design to create flyers, as well as another team member who is active U.S. military, which provided the perfect team military liaison for choosing items to purchase for the care packages. One team member's skill set offered strong leadership and communication skills, and another has excellent attention to detail, which was put to good use to ensure project submissions follow grading rubrics. Team 2 considered the project to be a success as the minimum number of military personnel to receive a shipment of care package items to enhance the well-being of each individual Marine. By creating flyers to use on donation boxes and online marketing medium, the team was able to establish a professional marketing approach to soliciting funds. The OSP graphics designer created marketing materials to use on physical donation boxes, social media platforms, and on the GoFundMe website, which the marketing manager created for OSP. OSP's project manager created and provided donation receipts for corporate donors and composed and mailed personalized thank you letters to each donor of physical and monetary donations, which made for a polished show of appreciation for the donor's support and for charitable tax deductions documentation. Risks are inherent in any project, and a care package project was no exception. OSP risks included budget, scope, audience, fundraising, marketing, legal issues, purchasing, shipping, security, corporate giving, and internal and external communications. To mitigate risk factors for Operation Solicitous, a total quality risk management approach was used. The project's risk management approach included utilizing a risk register to track and stay on top of specific risks, ferreting out and identifying unknown risks, risk mitigation techniques, and working with the project sponsor to assess what risks could be accepted and if there were risks which would require adjustments to the project scope. The team found that when developing the charter, there was a naivety regarding the amount of donations which would be generated for the project. It was quickly determined that the budget and scope would need to be adjusted from 150 troops to 50 troops to receive care packages, and that pledged donations would need to be diplomatically followed up on as well. The project schedule was the only hard stop the project had due to shipping cutoff at the end of the semester.
Okay, so one of the big parts of any project is the cost and budgeting. So today I will be going over our original cost estimate. I'll be going over our variance in our cost. I will also be covering project management tools and the methods that we use to ensure that we would have a successful project. Next slide. So to start with project management tools and methods, our three main tools that we use were Google Docs, Google Sheets, and for meetings, we used Google Hangouts a lot. So Google Docs allowed us to all get on and work on project reports, the charters, lessons learned, transition plans, RACI charts, WBS and dictionary, and all the listed documents you see there. Using Google Docs allowed us to all work together and also allowed us to all stay on the same page when working on reports. In Google Sheets, we were able to do a lot of our graphs. Our cost estimate was built in Google Sheets. The EVMS was also done using Google Sheets, the risk register and tracker, and the budget baseline. These are the three main tools that we used and the methods that we use to have a successful project are listed under each of those. So this here is our original cost estimate. It has, it goes over, it's based off our WBS categories, broken into each phase, the initiating, the planning, the executing, the control phase, and the closeout phase. It also has our non-labor costs for the products that we were going to purchase or that we did purchase to send to the soldiers overseas. This cost estimate is based off of the 150 troops, which we did change to 50 troops, and that will show in our cost variance later on. So to go over this cost estimate, each one, so we have our team members. That is how we assigned each task. We assign that to each team member. Some of them are unknown, and that's due to the cost estimate being built before we were able to get to those tasks. We have start dates and end dates for each phase of our planning. We also have our internal labor hours. Those are estimated also based off what we thought how long it would take to complete each task. And then we have our hourly rates. So if you notice, some of them say $60 and some of them say $10 for an hourly rate. The ones that are $60 are all rates with the whole team incorporated within them. The $10 are only individual rates. We also have our external labor, and that was from our project or our team sponsor. We also gave him a rate of $10 an hour, and we totaled his and added that all into the total cost estimate. As you can see, each phase, each WBS category has a total cost. and each one builds off the previous. For example, initiating says total cost is $430 and planning phase is $1,260. That way we can track costs as we go along in the project to know how much money we're going to need as we continue through the project. Also, on the bottom left of the screen, we have our assumptions. Our assumptions are $10 an hour for 6 employees. Employees work 3 hours a week for 8 weeks on this project. And our product costs are based on our max cost. That's for the 150 troops that we planned on sending these to. And then we also have $10 an hour for our external labor costs. Next slide, please. Okay. So next, we have our budget variance and our EVMS. So once again, the budget variance is based off of our WBS. It has all the phases of our project broken down. We have our original estimated cost, and then we have our actual costs, and then we have our cost variance. All the red markings show that we were over budget in those areas. Green markings show that we were under budget in those areas, and the yellow marking you see towards the bottom means that we are neutral in those areas. As you can see, our total came in to be $1,866 under budget. And our EVMS shows that. Our planned value was $6,013 originally. Our earned value was also $6,013. Actual cost was $4,147, and our cost variance was $1,866 under budget. A schedule variance of 0 or cost performance index is 145%, and our performance index is 100%. Next slide.
In this section, I will be giving you an overview regarding the project schedule and the labor hours spent on Operation Solicitous. Specifically, I will be discussing or comparing the baseline versus the actual timeline. Next slide. Here on this graph, we have a look at our baseline or estimated schedule. As you can see on this graph, from the 25th of January to the 16th of February, we completed the preliminary phases of the project, including the following. We finalized our business case and project charter and completed our preliminary scope statement and baseline cost estimates. Our team outlined our preliminary schedule, which you see here, and created our risk management plan and risk tracker in addition to our RACI chart. We also developed our marketing mediums, which included things such as flyers and other promotional materials that would be used on social media and at multiple locations accepting donations to promote our project, which will be displayed later in this presentation. Throughout this period, we also obtained feedback from our sponsor and met as a team twice a week throughout the duration of the project to discuss our current progress and any action items that needed to be addressed. We originally planned to continue our marketing campaign through the 15th of March, at which time we had scheduled to purchase the items specified for donation. By the 20th of March, these items were to be shipped. We intended at this time to take our sponsor's feedback to update the necessary project documents and prepare our final report. Our project followed our initial schedule up to the marketing phase. It was within the first 2 weeks that we realized we were not receiving donations at a rate even close to the amount needed to meet our project goals. After a lengthy discussions as a group and with our sponsor, we determined that we were not effectively reaching out to the community who we believed would support us. This notion was supported by the fact that at the time, most of our donations were only coming from family and friends. It was at this time, in large part to the time lost, that we decided to reduce the scope of our project, following the advice of our sponsor. In addition, efforts were expanded to forge relationships with high-profile social media users to help promote our campaign. In the end, we were ultimately successful and our message was reaching a much larger audience. Next slide. As a result, our actual schedule differed in the following ways from our baseline, as you can see the dates highlighted in red. The last day for donations was extended to the 30th of March. The shipping deadline was extended to the 16th of April, and the final delivery of goods to the customer was set to the 23rd of April. Next slide. Unfortunately, in large part due to these changes, our total labor hours did exceed our initial limit of 240 hours. We adjusted our baseline estimate to 251 hours after we made changes to our project deadlines. But even with these changes, we ended with a total of 309.6 labor hours. Despite these setbacks, however, we still managed to close based on the adjusted timeline on schedule. Next slide.
Good evening. My name is James, and I'll be covering your project successes and deliverables. Was the project a success? To answer, the minimum amount of funds needed to complete the project was $3,610. The sponsor agreed to extend the fundraising dates to maximize the amount of funds needed to complete this project. The fundraising extension caused the shipping dates to extend about 2 weeks, but the project still completed the intended purpose. So yes, the project was a success, and the customer is very happy with the results. The project success criteria included coffee donations, a minimum of $75 for 2 packets of coffee per person, $20 Visa MasterCard gift cards for Wi-Fi, and a minimum of 100 pocket-sized hand sanitizers, all of which were met. We had 4 deliverables. Deliverable 1, the market and design of solicitation of the project. 2, the minimum amount of funds received, $3,610. 3, the procurement of the project, of the products. And 4, the shipping of the products to the customer. Next slide. Here's a photo of deliverable number 1. Includes the physical sign and online version of the sign. Next slide. Deliverable 2 includes money collected from the GoFundMe account and other donations. Next slide. Deliverable 3 shows the procurement of the products that was ordered. Next slide. Here's a photo of the staging and gathering of products for shipment. Next slide. More staging of the products for shipment. Next slide. And lastly, deliverable 4, the shipment of the products to the customer. Next slide.
The next slides will be talking about the project successes and failures, lessons learned, team effectiveness, and our final team takeaways. Next slide, please. The first, talking about the successes, with all of the deliverables met, one of the big successes the team had was the adjusted schedule and the completion of the project closeout. As mentioned, all funds were closed and collected on schedule based off the revised changes previously discussed. All items were purchased and secured on schedule, and final products were shipped out on schedule as well. What led to this success on the schedule was the decision that the team agreed to extend the funds and collecting by another week without placing the final ordering and final shipment in jeopardy. This additional time in the schedule allowed for the project to secure over $300 more in donations and secure 54 bags of donated Black Rifle Coffee. Some of the things that went wrong within the project, the first one to note is roadblocks when the schedule and WBS were delegated assignments to different team members who didn't work closely together. This resulted in conflicting dates with the schedule and caused confusion within the team. Inevitably, both the WBS and the schedule had to be reworked so that they could match. Another thing that went wrong with the schedule, or excuse me, with the control category was the overall project status meetings. Meetings were held twice a week instead of weekly, and the overall project meeting hours was exceeded by over $700 in terms of human resource hours. In order to get back on track and try to recover for some of these losses, we implemented a timekeeper to assign to keep meeting topics on point and try to keep to our originally scheduled durations for our weekly meetings. Next slide, please. Some of the lessons that we learned was, first, don't wait and see what happens when a deliverable is at risk. An example that we had was the donation of the Black Rifle Coffee. During the original procurement of the supplies, we were told that Black Rifle Coffee was going to donate all of the coffee for the project. As excited as we were, weeks and weeks went by and no physical donation was ever met. We later found out that there was a change within the company's donations officer, and that through luck, we had a team member who identified another member within Black Rifle Coffee by seeing their logo on their shirt and approached them and introduced our operations solicitous team. We were finally able to get a hold of a new donations officer within their company, and were able to secure the final donations of the Black Rifle Coffee the final week of materials procurement. Another item that we learned was how difficult it was to solicit funds to donate even to an honorable effort like the military. We found that it was extremely beneficial to advertise in places that had a very strong military background, and one of the major successes was local shooting ranges that we've had throughout Utah County and Salt Lake County. We ended up wasting a lot of time up front hoping for donations instead of being more proactive up front. Another lesson learned was we had a lot of ideas and different items that we wanted to purchase to support our troops. Having too many items in a shorter duration caused multiple changes to the original scope and sponsor approval process. Next slide, please. Team effectiveness. One of the biggest things and successes for our team effectiveness was setting a dedicated schedule was a big win for our team. We had 100% participation by setting a firm schedule that was consistent to Tuesdays and Sunday evenings. This allowed everybody to participate, and we were able to show progress multiple times a week through all of the different action items. The team also had an open group text open all throughout the week, which we could quickly reach out to any team member that we had any questions or progress for any action items. Lastly, working and thinking ahead. As a team, we were always referencing our schedule and focusing on upcoming tasks to make sure that we were prepared for future tasks. Lastly were the takeaways. As a team, we would utilize a fully encompassing project tool such as MS Project. This could have eliminated multiple documents that were needed that we tried to keep updated with different scope, schedule, and costs that we tried to keep live throughout the project status. In future projects, the team would allow more time to solicit funds as previously mentioned, and we would identify venues and locations to where best solicit. And then the last takeaway was have a face-to-face and celebrate the project success with your team. Next slides we'll talk about and show kind of one of the celebrations that we did within our team at the end of the closeout. We all met at Get Some Guns and Ammo and Orem that were one of the main sponsors throughout this project and went to the shooting range together as a team. And then next slide. And then just wanting to call out through illness and also through active military service, We just wanted to give a shout out to Ben and James as well, who are online with us and supporting this project remotely as well.
As far as the selecting of our project manager, we did not have a formal process, but Amy was quick to show initiative, which led to the team's unanimous vote in her favor. Amy was an outstanding project manager. She communicated frequently and effectively with the team and was prepared and present for every meeting. Amy ensured that our team was always prepared for the upcoming assignments and that we were on track with our project and always offered any help she could. Amy would like to be a project manager in the future, and I believe that this project not only gave her great practice for the future, but showcased her leadership skills, and she should feel confident going forward in this field. Our project sponsor was very happy and impressed with our team's success. Sergeant Burkle is pleased to see civilians showing support for the military and is impressed that Operation Solicitous had such an amazing donation outcome in such a short amount of time.
OSP has been a rewarding and enlightening endeavor, providing United States military personnel with gifts from home to show appreciation for their service and sacrifice, as well as providing Team 2 with the real-world experience of seeing a project through from conception to completion. The OSP team gained invaluable insight as to how scope creep, changes in available resources, unrealistic expectations, and budget shortages have a negative impact on the health of a project. A spotlight must be placed as to how imperative good communication skills are to the success of a project. On behalf of Operation Solicitous, I thank you for your time and attention.